everybody, and welcome to the WNX F1 show with myself and Gino. This week we're going to be showcasing the GP1 race at Canada. This week we have quite a lot of video on boards. The usual crew, Tucker Harley, myself, Crekkan and Fire Samuel, but we also have Dan Hall and Mr. Tans this week, and lucky enough for us, Mr. Tans got a pole, so we'll have his pole lap as well. But before we get into the news, let's have a little look at what happened last time out in Monaco.
Red lights, look but never stare, and we're go here at the Monaco Grand Prix. Crekkan gets a decent start, threw it all over the back of him.
Yeah, I believe that was Fire Samuel, and he also picked up a penalty.
All over each other, and Sam Jenks almost spins out Crekkan after hitting the wall himself. He's going around the outside, and he makes it stick. He's cut a little bit of that corner, and a little bit oversteer on exit, and he's moved into the wall. He's cut off Sam Jenks. This is mayhem here at Monte Carlo.
Brothers on the outside, Brothers with oversteer knocking into supers, and even worse for Crekkan, he is spun out. I think he connected the hairpin there.
He's facing
this is
the
not
wrong
very
way
characteristic
on
from
the
him.
main straight. Destroyed the vehicle, and that's a safety car out on track. Oh, he's got a penalty. Locking up his wheels again. Tucker's put his hand up in frustration. Around the outside, Crekkan down to P2.
Position gone. Crekkan looking at a victory as long as nothing happens, but look at Tucker. Where's Tucker come from? He's over and he's beside him. He's beside Crekkan.
Monaco was a cracking race, then two safety cars, people up and down peaks and troughs in the race, and many incidents and penalties handed out. A couple of reprimands, well, a few reprimands actually. Godzino, Crekkan and Sam Jenks got a reprimand for making contact with each other. Crekkan also got a 5-second penalty added to his race time after the race, which meant he got demoted to 4th place, handing the win to Tucker Harley. So congratulations to Tucker Harley for taking his first win of his WNX F1 career. The FIA have released some rules and regs updates this week. 2 updates and 1 clarification. The first of the updates is you must not intentionally crash your car during the race. You must only retire in the pit lane. Now we have a pit lane retire only rule, which I'll move on to in a second. But if you crash your car in the race and produce a safety car and it's deemed to be on purpose, and if you do produce a safety car, it will automatically be under investigation by the stewards regardless of anybody making a claim. If you're found to have caused it deliberately, you'll be handed a 5-place grid penalty for your next race automatically. This is to stop people crashing out, producing a safety car like they did in Monaco. 2 safety cars were produced by people wanting to quit the race, but crashing into the barriers instead, producing a safety car and just ruining the front runners' race. Although it's exciting and it helps the back runners, it's not that great for the person that's leading the race. So we've made that update to the rules. The second of the updates is you must not exceed the track limits on your in and out laps to save time or tyres. Because in Monaco it was possible to cut quite a lot of corners, save quite a lot of time on your in and out lap so that you could get out again. But this also saves you tyres, so I don't think it's very fair. Everybody in the FIA agreed, so we put that in the rules and regs, and that's effective from Silverstone. Moving on to retiring in the pit lane. A further clarification to this rule, we've now removed the fact that in qualifying you could retire on track after the flag had dropped. We felt that was a little bit ambiguous and still people on a flying lap could be caught up in someone's ghost car. So you must now only retire in the pit lane in both race and qualifying, and there is no longer an exception to this rule. If you retire, regardless of the section or if the flag has dropped, you must do it in the pit lane or face a penalty. GP2 on Sunday at Canada saw a brand new winner in our new rookie driver Joe Foxwell. He also took the pole that race. It was a completely dry race. Schumacher IMA didn't make the race, and Ferrari fan disconnected during the race. So it still leaves Schumacher leading the championship, Ferrari fan 20 points behind, Edink in 3rd. But Joe Foxwell puts himself up into 9th position on a full GP2 grid. Infinity Red Bull topping the GP2 Constructors Championship. GP100 race last Thursday at Monaco saw 11 starters on the grid, but due to quite a lot of DNFs, a very disappointing number of finishers, 5 finishers in the race. Crekkan took pole, but quite a crazy race, number of safety cars, and Stewart picked up his first win of the season to win that particular race. Crekkan, what happened to your pace?
I actually hit the wall during halfway through the race, and I knocked off my end plate. But I ended up collecting Stewart, so I thought, I just screwed up his race. We were battling for first, out of the 6 or 5 people remaining, and I thought I'll back off. I'll let him through. I dropped down to 4th doing it, and I just lost my rhythm and ended up finishing 4th because I messed up. But I did what I had to do.
Well, I was a reserve driver in that race, actually, driving for Mercedes. Once it started raining, though, I had no chance. And I was leading for a little bit, wasn't I? Holding you up.
Yeah, you were. But I just saw you crash into the wall. I was like, oh, bye.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had some kind of magnet in my wing and there was metal barriers. Anyway. So, mixed weather condition for GP100. The championship leader for GP100, again, Crekkan, but only 1 point in front of Andy Coy, who will be looking in Canada to grab first place again, as he feels that it is his best chance at a WNX championship. And the Classic League that ran last night saw another win for Fire Samuel. Pole this time for Fire Samuel. Under, again, mixed conditions. I believe Codemasters have got some sort of glitch with this because every classic race that I've been in has been wet. Unfortunately, my car, fast in the dry, not so fast in the wet. So I finished 4th. Should have been 3rd, but Stuart stole it off me in the last couple of laps. Championship leader in the Classic League is still Fire Samuel, 10 points in front now of Stuart. This week, in place of the driver bio, we have some video of the overtake of the month. The overtake for October, November was won by myself, so I guess I'll walk you through this overtake. Firstly, let's have a little look at how that happened. So coming up to the start of Sector 2 then in China, Sam Jenks broke a little bit early, or maybe I broke a little bit late in front of me. Initially I went for avoiding action. As I hit the apex, I thought I can possibly do this. Let's have a little look at it in slow motion. So hard on the brakes, Sam Jenks in front of me stays to the left. I hit the apex, but actually at this point it wasn't an overtake. Realised I got in front of him. I had a look behind to see if I got the space, and I put my foot on the throttle thinking I can make this. A little bit of oversteer, straighten the car back up, and made the pass without any contact. Gino, what do you think of that?
Very bold, very bold. I mean, when you look at it, you would think, how are you going to make that? But somehow you made it stick, and yeah, well done to you.
I was absolutely chuffed with that. Some say I might have won it under controversial circumstances, with some other people within the nominations shortlist of having left the league. But no, I feel that, of course, it was the best overtake put forward that month. So let's have a little look at the championship tables then before we head down to the Canadian Grand Prix. Crekkan still leads the table with 95 points. Fire Samuel in 2nd place, only 15 points behind. And actually Andy Coybe in 3rd place, only 18 points behind. So quite close at the top. Lotus still leading the constructors, 20 points in front of Sauber F1. So the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. 14 turns, lots and lots of overtaking opportunities in Canada, some heavy braking zones, 2 DRS zones, and one hell of an awful chicane. This week we're going to have our first race in the wet. Qualifying was supposed to be wet towards the end of the session, but it stayed pretty dry. But the race was a complete washout. Super soft and medium tyres available at Canada, but in the race weren't used. It was inters and wets only. Fire Samuel topped the Season 2 podium. Josh in 2nd, Tuppers in 3rd, with a 1:13.9 for Fire Samuel as the fastest lap. I don't think we're going to see that broken today, being the fact that the weather was awful. What do you think of this track, Gino?
It's very fast pace, but because of how Codemasters have made the game, you can actually take quite a lot of the curbing. So if it were fully dry, we would see much quicker laps than last year, I think. But either way, you got quite a few overtaking opportunities, but not so much in the way. It's very difficult. You want to be very aware of the surroundings, and you know that if you brake if you outbrake yourself, you will just go straight on. So I think drivers are going to be a bit cautious, but I don't think that's going to mean any lull in the action we'll see today.
Yeah, of course. This week the FIA released a statement to say that drivers could abuse the curbs and corner cuts as much as they liked, as much as the game allowed at Canada, because it simply gave you a stupid amount of time for cutting the final chicane and turn 3. So it was unfair to all the other drivers who weren't practicing corner cutting. So it was made legal to corner cut at this track, especially in the final chicane. You can take both those curbs. And actually, I was only taking one curb. I couldn't understand why.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah,
No.
I was only taking one curb because I didn't realise I could take the second curb like that. Watching Mr. Tan's footage, I was like, damn, I could have done that. But Mr. Tan's got pole here. Maybe it was for the corner cutting, I don't know. But let's have a little look at that, Crekkan. You can walk us through it.
Sure. And we're on board with Mr. Tan's pole setup of the Canadian Grand Prix. He starts his lap. Heading into the first corner, he avoids the curbs, and he avoids the curbs again into the second corner. As we approach the third corner, he can take quite a chunk out of it. And does he? Yes, he does. Clipping the curb, and a very close, tight line for the wall as we brake. Running over most of the curb, pretty much all of it, as we run onto the second longest straight on the track. Now you have to use the bridge as a reference point, clipping the curves perfectly and running over them very nicely. Mr. Tan's being very conservative, making sure he doesn't hit the grass. It can cost you a lot of time. Braking of a 100-meter board at turn 10. I don't know what the French name is, so we're just going to keep going with that. Getting a kick of oversteer, just a reminder that he has an 80,000 revolution per minute Mercedes engines behind him as he activates DRS. Now you have to be very careful where is he gonna brake? He's gonna brake just out of the 100-meter board, taking a chunk of the first corner, taking a chunk of the second, avoiding the Wall of Champions perfectly. And he sets a 1 minute 12.1, a very quick lap using wet setups.
Yeah, so his first pole position of his season, Mr. Tan, so congratulations to him. Stuart B in second place, only 1/10 behind him, and our new rookie driver, Gudzinho, in third place. Now, I believe I'm still setting a lap. He shows at the moment, Gino, you're in front of me, but I believe I qualified in 4th. You were in 5th. Jamie Hall in 6th position, yep. Only half a second off the pace. Fire Samuel, very disappointing, qualifying down in 7th. Dan Hall in 8th. Andy Coybe in 9th, and JB Pieni topping off the top 10. Tucker Harley in 11th, and Suitless Luke in 12th. So, I mean, the top 10 are all within a second of each other. That is absolutely cracking. So let's get out of the grid then. Mr. Tan's on pole and start the Canadian Grand Prix, which is starting under light rain conditions. On board with Fire Samuel, Mr. Tan's.
Oh no, we're going to Mr. Tan's. Race director, not too sure who he wants to start with, but we're going to start with our pole sitter.
So, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we're away for the Canadian Grand Prix. Mr. Tan's doesn't get a great start. Stuart is moving up on him on the right-hand side, but everybody 3 abreast into the first corner.
Oh, Tucker crashes into his teammate. Goes into a full 360, nearly clips Shiraz. Oh, very close to JB. Luckily his car ghosted, but downhill getting squeezed by Pravis and Andy. Yeah,
I believe Suplas actually outbraked himself and clipped Tucker Harley there and pushed him into his teammate Sam Jenks. Very unfortunate for Tucker, but he's a consistent driver. Should be able to work his way back up the grid, as we see a bit of contact there between Pravis and Dan Hall.
I'm sure we'll get a replay on that first lap incident with Tucker Harley, as we're on board with Dan Hall. Some contact again. Sam Jenks is trying to recover from his incident with his teammate, completely not his fault there. There was Tucker, we think, getting caught up there, but Super Sloop running wide, Shiraz just cutting him off, saying, nope, you're not getting through now.
And as you were talking Sam Jenks pulled off a cracking overtake on 2 drivers, perfectly executed the braking zone there, and got himself 2 positions. He couldn't quite get in front of. And whoa!
I think he just got hit. I'm not too sure who that was actually. Yeah, I think we'll leave it up to the viewers to decide who that was. But that's really demoted down now. He's into 13th place. That's not how he would have liked to start his first lap there.
No, JBPNE in front of him, and Shiraz in 11th position. Tucker Harley running off the back of the grid, 14th place.
So, well, we have the 2 championship contenders of this year. Not going to count out Andy, of course. He's a race, he's under a race wins behind Crekkan. But Fire Samuel, who is currently behind Crekkan, trying to find a way past. Very close. Crekkan is not renowned for his wet weather pace. So we're now on board with Travis. He's under pressure from Jamie Hull. Jamie Hull having a good start to the race.
Yeah, I think Travis is really struggling with the Lotus car there. So I have quite a lot of oversteer. And defending Jamie Hall.
Fortunately, we didn't see the end of that as Crekkan narrowly avoids Godzinho, but race director must be looking into the future to see that. But hopefully, nothing seemed to have happened to Jamie. He's lost a bit of time. Godzinho, what's happened to Godzinho, John?
I think he's lost his wing, Gino, which is why it's just gone off the track to let other people through, I believe. So he'll be crawling his way back to the pits, and that'll probably put him back of the grid. Surely put him back of the grid.
Well, that's a disappointing start to the race. Qualifying third in the dry, must have just been not used to these wet conditions. This promotes Crekkan, Fire Samuel, Travis up 1 position, obviously. I think he actually managed to pass Stewart as well, Godzinho. So Stewart will be now into second as everyone chases after Mr. Tans. Quite a close bunch at the minute.
Yeah, and he's doing a cracking job staying ahead, Mr. Tans. Renowned for his wet weather pace, GP2. He was the wet weather master in Season 2. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. We've got a replay here from the start, from Tucker's perspective. So Tucker's, Sam Jenks has overtaken him off the start, got a better start, but if we just look in the mirrors and on the left-hand side, Super Sloop outbreaks himself, hits Tucker, and Tucker goes into the side of Sam Jenks and then pirouettes in a big circle around the track. JVPNE also being collected in that as well. To be fair,
it's another incident.
Yeah, it's a difficult first corner here, especially in wet conditions, and I just want to point out this is the first wet race of the season, so it's new territory for everybody. They're going to be learning tyres, their cars. Everybody's going to be on learn mode, and this is going to be a big practice session for most people in this race. So that's unfortunate though for Tucker Harley having a good qualifying.
Now we've moved back on board with Crekkan. He's setting blistering times per minute. He's just smashed his previous fastest lap of a 118.1, if I remember correctly. He's now in the 17s. He's running a bit wide. A lot of oversteer there, but he's he was 3/10 up on the first sector. Has he lost any time? Well, he's lost a bit, but it's still at 10 foot. And the top 4 closing in.
But Fire Samuel is not too far behind. We saw the proximity arrows there on Crekkan's car. Fire Samuel is right up on the gearbox of Crekkan, so everybody's chasing, but nobody's catching Mr. Tans. He's doing a really good job controlling the pace up front at the moment.
Oh, when he hit the wall, I think he might have just tapped the wall there, and Stewart got out of shape. Crekkan on the outside as he sets another fastest lap, and something's happened behind. Travis has lost time or something along those lines because he's now all the way in 8th. Race director moving back up. No, he's moving back onto Travis, so he doesn't know where to record.
Yeah, it's a lot of action to be looking at in this race. Travis got out of shape, hit the wall, and lost a few positions, and now he's going to try and claw them back. In 8th place, Andy Coybe in front of him.
Well, he was creating quite a bit of a train. We saw behind about 5 cars all clumped together. No, it's actually 6 cars to be precise. Oh, who is that up ahead? I think... Oh, I don't know. I think that's Sam Jenks who's managed to pull away there. Andy, he's got... Previs has got Andy in front of him. I think that's Suplus, Luke and 6th. Oh, we can see on the mini-map. Look at that. The top 4 very close to each other.
Alright, so Jamie Hall, not Suplus Luke, and Jamie Hall gets a bit out of shape. Andy Coybe looks to capitalise on that, goes to the inside, but Jamie's covering real nicely, and Pravis is just struggling to catch these two up. Maxing out his gearbox at 218.
I think he might be waiting for them to make a mistake. It's quite suicidal to go into that chicane side by side, and Andy has lost out because of it.
Yeah, wait no more. Andy makes a mistake. Pravis takes it, and he tries to go. It looks to be going around the outside.
On the outside. That turns into the inside. Jamie, he's got the outside line, and we don't know what's happened now because the race director's moved on to Crekkan. And Stewart does an overtake on Mr. Tangs.
That was a lovely overtake, but Mr. Tangs is going back for it again. Stewart grabbed the lead, but Mr. Tangs wants it back. A bit of contact went back on board with Pravis, who's lost out again to Andy Coybe, and down into 8th again.
These guys are not giving up.
It's racing
Crekkan with a... Yes, there is. The snap overskit again on Krekkan's car. He's trying his absolute hardest to get in front of these guys. So close, 3 abreast. But, Krekkan's lost out. That's going to give Fire Samuel 3rd. Oh, and Crekkan just, a little tap from Fire Samuel saying, get back behind me. I don't want you in front of me at the minute.
And on board with Mr. Tanz, this is suicidal. This is definitely suicidal. Oh, and he hits the wall. Ooh. Oh, Crekkan hits him.
Krekkan's into him.
Nothing Crekkan.
And by Samuel. Samuel's been able to escape.
Yes, he has, and he's in 2nd position now. Mr. Tan surely ruined the day that he came that close to the Wall of Champions. He's getting out of shape into turn 2 as well. Obviously a little bit frustrated. But what's this? Krekkan's making a pass on the inside of Mr. Tanz as well. So Mr. Tanz down into 4th now. 1st to 4th in a couple of laps. That's disappointing.
Mr. Tan's still battling though. He wants 3rd, but I think he's lost the opportunity now. You can see from Krekkan's perspective, he's having a lot of oversteer issues. He's pushing like mad, and he actually ended up double shifting. He's been talking about a car having gear shifting issues recently, but already the gap forming. But Crekkan now has to catch up to Fire Samuel and Stewart, hopefully, for him at least. But Fire Samuel doesn't overtake Stewart before he overtakes Fire Samuel.
Well, Samuel coming out that hairpin took a lovely tight line and was able to get on the power a lot earlier than Stewart in that Lotus. But Stewart closed the door and Samuel wasn't able to make the pass, so he's going to have to sit behind him until the start-finish straight. Both of them going into this final chicane here. Both of them making it through there quite nicely. Across the line, Stewart still takes 1st. No chance for Samuel to get past here.
But all in the 17s at the minute. Fire Samuel set the fastest lap of 117.1, and if it does dry up, we're not too sure. We've heard of reports of rain in the distance, of heavier rain in the distance. So if you want the fastest lap, you better push now, basically.
Yeah, and as we just saw then, Thimbot just coming out of the pits. Hope he doesn't get in the way of the leaders too much. If he does, that could bring Crekkan back into play. On board in 10th place here with Dan Hall. Andy Coybe in front of him in 9th. And I wonder where Pravis is now. He must have taken Andy Coybe again. As Samuel...
Well, his teammate is under pressure from Fire Samuel, and he's going past Fire Samuel. Okay, we've moved on to something else, race director. Thank you. We're watching a battle there.
Oh, and Dan Hall goes to the inside of this corner. That's crazy. That's crazy. He had to slow down there and let Andy Coybe through because there was no way he was going to make his car around that corner. And Fire Samuel's made the move on Stewart, but Stewart's coming back at him. And he's got some immense straight line speed, and he's taken 1st away from Samuel again.
Well, action left, right, and centre. Race director not sure what to cover, but in his wisdom, we will trust him. We'll trust him to give us right onboards. But Stewart cutting off Samuel. Crekkan now has caught up and set, I think, a new fastest lap.
17.1. Not too far off of Fire Samuel. Both of these got very similar pace. Samuel stuck in 2nd position now, though, again. behind Stewart. Stewart, there's not many overtaking opportunities in the end of Sector 1, beginning of Sector 2. So he'll have to wait probably till the hairpin again until he gets another chance. But Crekkan is biting at the bone behind him.
Stewart ran a bit wide into entry, but really vulnerable through these corners. I don't think the Lotus this time round has good cornering grip. But first time he's right up against Stewart's gearbox, and Krekkan's just waiting for something to happen, getting very close to each other.
And Fire Samuel again keeping it tight to the apex, able to get on the power a little bit earlier than Stewart. I think Stewart's got the straight line speed. Obviously the Mercedes is carrying a lot more downforce than the Lotus. As we're on board with Travis, Jamie Hall trying to make a pass on the outside, but Travis keeps it tight to the apex. A little bit better traction, so he should keep this position, but Jamie Hall's still hovering over his side pod. He's backed into the back of him to capitalise on the slipstream.
I think you might try and overtake, but again, you really don't want to try and overtake going into the chicane, and Jamie does back off.
Looking at,
but he loses a bit of time. There's a lot of drivers behind him.
Yeah, looking at the front runners going through that corner, Travis is really struggling. Crekkan's hit the wall, and he's taken off an end plate. That's not going to help in these conditions.
And Fire Samuel, he's looking to overtake on the outside. Can he make it stick? Getting so close. Fire Samuel actually having to go on the grass to try and capitalise on the opportunity, and he has. But Stewart, he's looking to get his position back.
Well, Samuel putting his car in the right place here. He took the grass. Usually he wouldn't have been allowed to do that and make that move, but the game has allowed him to do it, and the FIA has said that you can take as much corner as you like. So that move was legal, and he puts himself into first place. Is there a bit of contact there?
Ooh, yes, I think that was. And more contact. Stewart cutting off Crekkan, not expecting that. Flies his hand up in the air, and Mr. Tans has recovered and is right behind Crekkan. But Stewart's trying to get past Fire Samuel. Oof! Nearly pushing him out. Mr. Tans is getting past Crekkan.
Wow. Oh, he just gets that corner wrong though, and Crekkan takes the position back. There he's got a smile inside
Mr. Tans. Yeah, Mr. Tans, though, he'll be frowning because he's just lost fourth to Sam Jenks, who's, who is now in fourth. I mean, wait, that doesn't make sense, does it?
We know what you mean.
Yeah. Mr. Tans lost fourth, even though he tried to get third. He lost many positions. At the end of the day, Mr. Tans is not going to be very happy.
And we see Travis hitting the wall there while you were going off on one. And Andy Coybe has gone back into 6th position. Tyres looking okay, but Travis has also lost an end plate due to that contact with the wall, so that's not going to help his grip issues in that Lotus, which is already struggling.
Well, unlike Mr. Tans, Stewart made his overtake stick, but these three are very close to each other. Fire Samuel, he's looking to overtake before the hairpin, so we'll see how that turns out. Stewart, he's got the inside line. Crekkan, he sees the inside line opportunity, but he just can't get the power down.
Well, there's just so much going off in this race, it's difficult to know what to talk about. Stewart makes it away though. Crekkan, I believe, has probably lost Fire Samuel a little bit of time by taking the inside there. I think Fire Samuel wanted to cut back and get on the power a little bit earlier like he has been doing previous laps, where he's caught him back up. He's in the slipstream of Stewart now, going down to turn 1. There's only 6 tenths separating the top 4. Only 2 tenths separating the top 3.
Pretty incredible. I mean, I'm pushing like hell, really. I mean, they've got to try and get past each other. They want to make their intermediates last, and that's Travis into the pits for a stop.
Well, that's odd. I mean, he shouldn't have. His tyres looked okay. I mean, does he think he's going to get some kind of undercut?
I'm not too sure. I mean, fresh intermediates is good intermediates. Plus, he had some front wing damage, so he may have thought, he might get some time back. As far as someone tries to overtake Stewart, it's not going to work. But Stewart runs wide. Stewart onto the grass. Crekkan tries to take him on the outside, and he does.
And that's Fire Samuel first. Crekkan second. Sam Jenks is also taking Stewart, and he's moving back to...
Oh, he's been hit.
Yeah, who was that? Stewart.
Stewart now. Oh dear me, that is a lot of bad luck, and his Kurz has gone offline. So that hit from both Sam Jenks and Stewart cutting across there. That's not just damaged his second, his victory there. There's a lot to talk about,
Yeah,
isn't there,
so,
Face? We don't get much of a
So
race.
Stuart outbraked himself, made contact with Crekkan. Crekkan made contact with Fire Samuel. Crekkan was the one that lost out there. This car spun just because of the way that the game works. Mr. Tans and Sam Jenks both said thank you very much, Crekkan. We'll take that, and Crekkan's now been demoted to 4th position. I don't believe Stuart got any damage in that. Let's have a little look from Fire Samuel's perspective. Yes, Sam Jenks, he went for first place, and if Mr. Tans hadn't made contact with him, I think Sam Jenks might have got himself into first place there.
Quite possible, as we go on board with Fire Samuel, who's now got some breathing space, but Sam Jenks is not going to let up by any means. Plus, we've got Mr. Tans, who has found his pace again, and he'll be hoping to try and claw back, maybe get back into first position.
So the word from Teddy Kravitz in the pit lane says that Lotus driver Stuart has gone into the pits and put wet tyres on his car, hoping to do a little bit of an undercut on Fire Samuel. So we'll see if this top 3 now comes into the pits to copy that.
Quite possible, but the track does not seem wet yet. But you know, Stuart, in his wisdom, he is Scottish. He does know rain a lot, so you'll probably know when it's the right time to go into the pits. And is that Shiraz?
That's Shiraz driving into the side corner of Kravitz.
Something's wrong. I don't know what's that about. Is that a game glitch?
It looks to be a game glitch there, sadly.
Yes, if you're not aware, we had this in Spain as well, where the cars just seem to materialize out of nothing. They're ghost cars. They're solid, so they're just driving about wildly and they hit into cars if you're that unlucky. But, you know, it happens, unfortunately. It happened after the latest patch, which sorted out the equal cars. But, you know, hopefully they'll get it patched soon.
Fix one thing, break another. And actually, in the classic race, which was ran last night, we had the same issue where 3 cars, one was driving backwards around the track. Fire Samuel was actually leading the race, was just driving in circles around the track. And Andy Coy smashing into people on the track. This wasn't the actual case, it's just that everything went a bit out of sync and a bit crazy. But luckily, I don't believe anybody had any contact. As we see Fire Samuel in first now, Sam Jenks in second, Mr. Tans in third. It does look wet, but probably not wet enough for wet tyres yet. And Mr. Tans has actually gone into the pits. He's going to be putting wet tyres on his McLaren.
Surely wet.
Actually, he's putting
he's putting on inters. That is very odd. But he might have been desperate to get that wing changed. I don't know whether that was wise, because he's got to worry about that train behind him, who are battling constantly at the moment.
I think that's a really big mistake for Mr. Tans. If he'd have put wet tyres on then, he might have been in contention for a podium by the end of this race, but I think that was a really, really big mistake. So Fire Samuel in first position, Sam Jenks in second. And we're on board with Tucker Halley now. We've not seen much of him this race. A little bit of oversteer.
Yeah, he's having to cope with that Williams. The Williams, it has shown potential. It is now a race winner, but last week's race winner Tucker is trying to recover from that incident at the start, and I don't think, you know, he has. You know, if he can do his trick of being nice and consistent, I'm sure he can pick up a few points. But he's having a lot of trouble with that Williams, as Mr. Tans looking to overtake Andy.
Can't get past here, takes a wide line, tries to cut it back across the apex and get on the power a little bit earlier. Andy Coy's putting his car in the right place though. He's moving over to he's keeping it sort of central to the track. He's saying to Mr. Tans, here, have any which way you want and I'll take the other. So Tans goes on the inside, not quite having the speed to make the apex, but the side-by-side, Tans has to pull out. There's no way he could have made that without incident. And that was a good judgment call from Mr. Tans.
Yeah, we've still got 20 laps to go, which is going to turn into 19 now. And you got to think about the rest of the race. I mean, Tans is obviously quicker than Andy, so he's just going to keep as close as possible, and when there is a clear opportunity to overtake, he's going to take it.
So we've not seen anything of Travis. He's still down outside of the top 10 after he made the strange decision to come in and pit on inters. Might yet prove to be a very bad decision, but also might yet prove to be a bad decision for Mr. Tans, who come and pit on inters, who's now in 6th place, trying to get past Andy Coy, not seemingly having the grip to get past him. So those new inter tyres not working as expected for Mr. Tans.
Well, I just heard a radio message from Mr. Tans saying that heavy rain is approaching. But Mr. Tanzi's undeterred. He's going to try and take him on the hairpin, but just not possible. But he's going to take a tighter line, try and straighten up quicker.
Yeah, even though he got a little bit of snap oversteer there, and you can see that under traction he's got a lot more traction. That makes sense, but he's going again up the inside of Andy Coy. Can he make the move stick this time? He's got his nose in front, and Andy Coy has to back out. He's made the move stick, but a fantastic overtake. Even in the dry conditions.
That was a great overtake.
Yeah, even in the dry conditions, that is a bad idea, but wow, that was brilliant.
Mr. Tan's guiding it like a guided missile, you know. I have really bad analogies, don't I? I'm sorry, I do apologise. But yeah,
what?
Guiding it, but JB, what just happened there?
JB hit the wall then, and he must have hit a pretty chunky part of the wall because it spun his car 90 degrees. Mr. Pravers overtakes him nice and easy. Fire Samuel getting a bit out of shape, and the wingless Sam Jenks behind him snatches first place. Thank you very much, Fire Samuel. I'll have that one. Into the hairpin they go, but Fire Samuel's rear tyres don't look that great at all. Maybe I think they'll come into the pits this lap, maybe.
Probably. But will it be inters or wets? I mean, I'm looking at the track now, and there's puddles starting to form.
So Fire Samuel then on his steering wheel has just selected the wet tyres. He's going to go into the pits. Sam Jenks stays out though. I wonder if that might be costly or advantageous. Tucker Harley's worked himself back up into 9th position. Travers going for the overtake on the inside. Oh,
yeah, I think he's got it.
He's made that stick and a little bit of contact there, but mostly clean. Arguably.
And now Tucker's going to lose out to Supers, I think. And there goes the Co-Master Servers.
Mr. Tan's now in 5th position behind Stewart, who I said earlier went in to pit for wet, but actually I don't think he probably did.
Oh, Dan Ho, he's been held up. I think his teammate Jamie decided to pit, and Mr. Tanz, he's going to try and overtake Stewart. He's going to do exactly what Stewart did to him earlier in the race. So, yeah, I think actually Stewart served a penalty instead of going into the wets. Not too sure.
Fair enough. He's probably got a penalty for the incident at the hairpin. Sorry, I said he went in for wets. Obviously, that wasn't correct. He's still out on intermediates at the moment. So Jamie Hall and Dan Hall not communicating. Both of them in the Red Bulls. Both of them actually relations in real life. Not communicating as well as they should be, and double stacked in the pits.
Well, it's a very tough time at the minute with Red Bull. I mean, they're at the bottom of the table. Again, the car does have potential, but they just can't seem to get a break at the minute. So, attentions, they're definitely there because they want to succeed. And if one can get over another, they will. And Crekkan into the pits, he's onto wets.
And Stewart into the pits also, he's onto wets.
Mr. Tanz as well. All of them going in, I think. Anyone who hasn't been in the pits for Inters already is probably going in now, and that's going to be Shiraz as well.
So we'll see then if Shiraz goes into the pits. We've seen him a couple of laps ago bouncing about the pit straight, so hopefully it doesn't prove to give Tucker Harley any problems. Yeah, he's going into the pits there.
Very simple there. Just Tucker just backing off just in case Shiraz decided to brake a bit early, but he's giving ground to Dan Hall as someone is coming out of the pits. Don't know who that is. I think they'll be the Toro Rosso Super Sluke, maybe. I'm not too sure. And
just to mention that we're on a different camera on Dan Hall's car, and I quite like this camera. It's probably quite difficult to race on this camera. It is a lot better than last year's, though, probably, but I really like watching a race from this view.
Well, the Red Bull team have decided to do an aerodynamic switch. I mean, they're not too sure about where to go with their research and development. So they thought instead of having a camera and a roll bar like most of the other drivers do, you know, Crekkan, Fire Samuel, they're going to have it on the offset, so that might give them an aerodynamic advantage. But if it doesn't, it does provide us a nice and different view.
And Dan Hall much better under braking there than Tucker Harley, closed up behind him, but he's having a lot of traction issues in that Red Bull. Tucker Harley just sails off into the distance, and you see they're putting multiple corrections into the wheel to keep the nose of the car where he wants it to go. lot of oversteer issues.
Yeah, I mean, Red Bull and Williams in a very similar situation, but Williams with that race win. Williams did win the Constructors in the first season, so to see them at this level struggling in the wet, well, struggling almost every race, to be honest, it is a damn shame. But Sam Jenks is doing his bit. He is a quick driver, as Tucker does. Tucker loses traction there, and Dan Hall overtakes him for that final points position.
Yeah, he'd been waiting for that, hadn't he, Dan Hall? Just waiting for a mistake so that he could get away from Tucker. I wonder if Tucker might take it back though, because I think the Williams at this stage in the race is the better race car.
Yes, that is true. I mean, Tucker in the last race, he used that to his advantage and managed to close up on the leading three of Sam Jenks, who had a time penalty, Crekkan, who would have a penalty, and Dan Hall, who would run out of fuel. So, you know, Tucker, again, he's consistent with that Williams, but it's just a lot of a struggle, quite a bit of a struggle in those the first half of the race.
Now, I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me or not, but the tyres that I just saw Pravas on were Inters. I'm
not too sure. I don't know why. It'll be very odd being on the Inters at this time.
No, it must have been my eyes. If he was in Inters, he surely would have pit now. Dan Hall and Tucker hardly catching
up. Well, it's the rain, isn't it? It's the rain. I mean, it's all over the camera. It's very difficult to see. It must be even difficult for the drivers to see because they have to focus.
So Tucker Harley then not been able to stick with Dan Hall. Dan Hall's pulled out about 2.5 seconds on him now.
Yeah, you can see very clearly that Tucker's having a lot of oversteer issues. Unless he can find some way of getting some pace, or if Dan Hall or anyone above has some sort of incident which takes him down the field, not too sure whether he'll be able to score a point in this race, and that'll be a very stark contrast as Dan Hall, he just lost traction in front of us.
Yeah, he gets a bit out of shape and just narrowly avoids hitting the wall on the left side, which is so easy to do. Goes deep into the hairpin. Tucker now, if he gets his traction down, no, he's a lot of wheel spin. Dan Hall's got away from him again. He's not going to make the pass here. He switches to Rich. Rich though sees the opportunity.
Well, I don't know what Crekkan was thinking now, because he just knocked the wall. I think he must have given it a kiss or something, but you know.
So we're back on board with the front runners then. Now it shows that Crekkan is P4, where a moment ago he's P3 and has not lost any positions to anyone else. But on the minimap it shows him P3. Sam Jenks in 2 and Fire Samuel leading this race. I'm not sure. Jamie Hall actually in 4th place. That's a really good position for Jamie Hall.
But he was on the grass. That's the problem. I think he may have stayed out on the inters, or it might just be another situation of a ghost car, but we'll see.
So now it's showing Mr. Tans in 4th, 9 seconds behind. So Mr. Tans, probably at this stage, unless there's any major incidents, can say goodbye to his first podium. Ooh.
That's a lot, taking a lot of the curb, so much that the game actually gave him a corner cut.
I did not notice that.
So,
I did actually notice that, but I didn't pay any attention to it. But you're absolutely correct, gave him a corner cut warning. In real life, I'm sure he would have broke his back by taking those curves at that speed. But in this game, because it's so messed up, you can take it and make about 2 seconds a lap.
You know, if it's there, it's going to be abused. And the FIA have let that happen simply because it'll be unfair on the recorders contributing the show to drive as cleanly as possible, I suppose you could say that, and let, you know, the others have the opportunity to just cut as much as they can. So that was another reason why the corner cuts were allowed.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. And yeah, it looks to be a game glitch. Jamie Hall's bouncing into 4th place again. Unless it is actually Mr. Tans and Jamie Hall battling behind them. But I don't think so, because Jamie Hall was midfield, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was not even midfield. Well, yeah, midfield. I'm thinking about how many cars usually hit up the grid. Like we usually have 16 cars, and you know, I was thinking of a point system. But yeah, he is in the midfield.
Crekkan takes that final chicane a little bit better this time. Still not gaining too much time on Sam Jenks in front of him. Actually, he's closed the gap to less than a second now. Under braking, he's really close behind him. Keeps it tight to turn 2. Tries to get on the power nice and early, but gets a little bit of oversteer. Sam Jenks got a bit of better traction into turn 3. He's gained another couple of tenths. Fire Samuel up the road, leading this race nice and comfortably at this stage. Not really being challenged by Sam Jenks in the second place.
Yes, but Samuel, as Crekkan takes a chunk out of the curbing, he's got to think about the 2 behind. He has to think about the 2 behind him, because if Crekkan gets past Sam, it could unleash him to try and overtake Samuel. So I think Mercedes will be keeping a close eye on this battle which is shaping up. But these 2 are renowned for having their fights on and off the track. Let's hope they don't crash into each other in any sort of way.
So Mr. Tan's in 4th place then, showing a split time of 10.3 seconds. It was 9.9, then 8.3, he's gone back to 10.3, so Mr. Tan's made a bit of time up then. He's obviously made a little bit of a mistake and dropped back a little bit further. I don't think he's got any chance to catch these lot. Now Sam Jenks gets on the AstroTurf, but he slows his car down, and it's released Crekkan into 2nd position to go chase after Fire Samuel. That's really, really disappointing for Sam Jenks. He'll be really frustrated about that, I'm guessing.
Well, supposedly the race is supposed to get a bit colder, but it's heating up now because we've got Crekkan closing in on Fire Samuel. Sam Jenks, caught the curbing just too much. He nearly completely lost it, and that would have given Mr. Tans a nice opportunity to get back into the podium spot. But Sam Jenks not too far behind Crekkan. He's going to keep an eye on him.
And Fire Samuel's keeping it all very nice and neat and together in these treacherous conditions. I'm very impressed with his Mercedes drive today.
Yes, it's been a very good drive. I mean, he's kept out of trouble mostly. I mean, the only trouble that came to him was from behind when Stewart had a little tap. But good overtakes, good time management. But is he time managing too much? Because Crekkan has just pulled him in by 8 tenths in one sector.
But as we see on the mini-map, Sam Jenks is not letting Crekkan go, so I know these 2 have got history and come together twice in Monaco. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of that today, and everybody plays nice.
Crekkan has now lost some time. Sam Jenks still within a second, no DRS though because we're in the wet. Mr. Tan's still in 4th. I think he's just consolidating his position, but he's not too far behind. He's 8 seconds behind Sam Jenks. So if anything happens, he'll be there to pick up the pieces.
It seems like there's an out-of-place driver behind 3rd place as well. Hopefully he doesn't hold up Mr. Tans too much, but I don't believe anybody's close to Mr. Tans anyway, so a 4th place should be on the cards for him.
Yeah, it should be. Even that would be a well-deserved result. He hasn't had the best of time recently. He's finished 9th and 10th, or just retired straight up. But a 4th position would still be a good result. But if he can get it to a podium, I think he'll be happy.
So Fire Samuel still leads on lap 26 of the Canadian Grand Prix. About a second and a half behind him is Crekkan, and then about half a second behind Crekkan is Sam Jenks, and then about 11 seconds behind the podium positions is Mr. Tans. So we cross the line now. Fire Samuel lost a bit of time to Crekkan there in the final chicane. Crekkan's now within a second, only 8 tenths behind. Sam Jenks just dropped back a little bit. Crekkan keeps it a bit tighter to the curbs, a little bit of oversteer on the exit. But I wonder if he can catch Fire Samuel on this lap then. He looks to have it screwed on. He takes those curves real nice. Moved himself to within about half a second. Exactly half a second.
Yes. Well, you don't see that very often, but the opportunity is there, but he's got to be wary about that oversteer. He's having a lot of trouble with that, but if he can keep on to the control, he can close up, but he's closing up a lot in the braking.
So heading down to the hairpin then, Fire Samuel Schuller looking behind him as he does, to see Crekkan closing up behind the back of his car under braking. See if he can get good traction out of this corner. Maybe he can use a slipstream to good effect down to the final chicane.
Quite possibly. I mean, thankfully it isn't dry because now Crekkan's DRS has gone offline, so that just says it all for his luck there. But getting very close, just not close enough. You can't really close up too much. You're either going to lose time or you're just going to stay in the same gap, because if you push too hard in those chicanes, you're going to lose your front wheel.
Yeah, so he's still half second behind at the start of lap 28. He gets a much better exit out of turn 2 this time, no oversteer, although he tries to tap onto the curves a little bit and the rear wheel said no, but he doesn't lose too much time. He corrected the car very well to keep it in a straight line. Starting sector 2 then, we still 0.51 behind 5 Samuel.
I think this oversteer is going to cost him because he just cannot get the power down, and that spray ain't going to help either because he's got to see where he's going and he's really pushing hard. But if he pushes too hard, he's just going to keep spinning up the wheels, and that's going to cost him.
So down to the hairpin. 5 Samuel much better under braking that time. Crekkan gets onto the curbs there. You don't really want to do that in the wet. 5 Samuel extends his lead to about a second now.
Yeah, it looks that way. Crekkan not saving any curves at all. He seems to be using it in the middle sector, and I don't think it's not really too wise. I mean, he's got to use it for the straight where he can get that toe and probably have a chance in the chicane, because at this point of the race, it's going to get a bit desperate to get past everyone.
So I've not seen much of Travis this race. He's behind Jamie Hall in 8th position. Jamie Hall in 8th position, Travis in 9th position. Coming down into the hairpin, visibility is really poor for Travis, but Jamie Hall makes a bit of a mistake. Travis keeps it, and he's done that. That's a carbon copy of a move that he did on Jamie Hall earlier on in the race as well.
Yes, but Jamie Hall, he's going to try and keep it, but it's going to be a drag race down to the chicane. It's going to be who's going to be the bravest. And I think it's going to be Travis, and Jamie backs off. He doesn't want anything to do with that. And Travis now into 8th.
Or was there a hitbox then? Because he stopped really quickly. Or did he take too much of the curve? I bet he took too much of the curve and got on the green stuff.
I'm not too sure, but I think intimidation may have played a part in that. But Jamie's lost the position now. Travis is now in 8th. And I think there'll be the 2 Red Bulls fighting it out for a 9th and 10th. So it could be interesting as another corner.
Yeah, he was really lucky then, because when you get onto that AstroTurf, sometimes it can spin your car 90 degrees, but he's really lucky to keep it straight then. He's right up the back of 5 Samuel's car now. If he can just keep the traction in check, he might have a chance. He's just losing time.
Wheels spinning in 4th gear. He's wheel spinning in 4th gear. I mean, that's not good at all. As we move on to Dan Hall, we have another battle for the last 2 positions in the points. But I don't think there's going to be any team orders. I don't think there's any point. But Dan Hall, with the higher finishing position in 3rd position in Monaco last race. So will he get favoured, or will they just or will Red Bull just let them battle out?
As we've seen so far this race, there's been little communication between these two. Dan Hall's closed it up though in the final chicane. He's in the slipstream of Jamie in front of him.
But he's having to. He himself is having to battle the oversteer coming. Coming off that chicane. Car was destabilised there, but Jamie having equally worse troubles.
Yeah, both of the Red Bulls having a torrid time in this in these conditions.
So we're back onto Crekkan, and he's still behind. Not got long to go. We've got 4 laps. He's braking as late as he can. He's getting as close as he can as well. But oversteer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there were a bit of contact then, and Crekkan went a little bit too deep. But it's just he's going to be lucky to get past, because with that much oversteer, even if he makes it past, 5 Samuel is very composed. His car looks to be set up really, really well for the wet. So even if he makes it into first, it's not guaranteed that he's going to keep it.
True, but you know,
Whoa.
Ghost car nearly takes out Fire Samuel, but Sam Jenks is going to try and get past now. You can see on that screen the arrow. Braked himself. He's outbraked himself there. That's going to cost both the drivers some time. It's going to break up that battle, but Sam Jenks, he's not going to be deterred by that. He's going to try and get past Crekkan regardless of the incident.
So Sam Jenks outbrakes himself, T-boned Fire Samuel, who was looking to escape from it, and it's actually Crekkan that lost out on that one.
Yeah, he's I think at least 2 seconds behind, and Sam Jenks, unapologetic, trying to get past. But I think we have news from the pit lane about Sam Jenks from the stewards.
Do we? What's that?
Well, I'm hearing reports that the stewards may give him some sort of penalty with that while the race is still running, but we'll see at the end of the race.
It's going to be investigated post-race then, that one. But surprisingly, Crekkan lost out quite a lot then to Fire Samuel, but he's caught him back up. It suggests to me that if he can make it in front of Fire Samuel, he might be able to gap him. There's only a second between them. There's 3 laps to go. As you can see, the ghost car of Jamie Hall flying about the track. Crekkan's really pushing now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he can see the opportunity. He knows he's quicker, but it's just when you get behind him, when you get behind Fire Samuel, you're going to lose grip because of the water spray. And Dan Hall's made a mistake. Jamie Hall's got back past.
Yeah, opportunistic then from Jamie Hall. These two fighting it out. No doubt they'll have a laugh about this after the race, being family and all.
Yes, I mean, two brothers racing against each other in the same team. It's got to be an aspect of teamwork, of course, but just a bit more refined because they know each other so well, obviously. But yeah, Dan Hall trying to take as much curbing as possible, but again with oversteer. I think he's also used a controller, so he has to be a bit more conservative. So if he has a lot of, if he with a lot of oversteer on a controller, it's going to be a lot more difficult to.
Yeah, you can't. Well, I can imagine you can snap it back quite fast, but it's the precision that you need. Crekkan now still about half a second behind Fire Samuel, but he's closed it back up in just one corner.
Pushing like mad. He can see the opportunity. He knows it's there. He just needs to keep going. Oh. If he can keep going, but he goes wide, he's trying whatever trick in the book to find some sort of extra time to get past.
And Dan Hall had the pace on Jamie Hall then. If only he'd have taken the inside instead of driving into the back of Jamie Hall and slowing himself down, he might have made the move before turn 1. Jamie Hall goes a bit deep though, and Dan Hall was going to go around the outside, I think, but I think he got a bit of oversteer and it completely knackered him up. And Tucker Harley's going to capitalise on that. Opportunistic Tucker Harley's got the inside line into turn 3 and he moves himself up into the final points position. Dan Hall now in 11th.
And they're side by side, Fire Samuel and Crekkan. We're on to, we've got 2 laps to go and Crekkan has to get past or he's not going to win. It's that simple. So both the drivers are now pushing hard because they know what's at stake. They're battling for the championship. Every point counts. And it may be the 7th round, but it all adds up.
Yeah, these two desperately want to win. A really good rivalry on track between these two guys. Crekkan, the race director switched it, but Crekkan looked like he might have made contact there.
I'm not too sure, but Tucker's gone off. He's gone wide, and hopefully he doesn't interfere with the traffic. We're going to the hairpin. Fire Samuel looking like he's got oversteer, and something's happened to. He's got a lag spike. That is, I think, that outlines his look this race, because he's now he's lost it basically. That's it. Game over.
10th place Casino overtakes him. I think during the lag spike. Then Sam Jenks has overtaken him. Who's that off the track there? Is that Jamie Hall? Yeah, it looks to be Jamie Hall. Taking the escape road on lap 34. So yeah, Crekkan's lost out massively there. Unfortunately, I mean, there's not much we can do with lag spikes. It's Codemaster's server connection. Side by side, Jamie Hall, Dan Hall going into turn 6. Dan keeps it together beautifully. Well done. A lot of corrections on the wheel though in the Red Bull, but he managed to get back past Jamie and puts himself up into 9th position. Tucker in 11th after that mistake that he made down at the hairpin.
Well, we just got a radio message. Can't exactly play it because of the nature, but a lot of shouting down Crekkan's radio. He's obviously not just angry, but distraught because that's his race over. As his any chance of victory is gone as Tucker goes completely off. Hopefully not going to hinder anyone, but his teammates once more.
Yeah, he's getting blue flags and his teammates behind him. You'd think he would make more of an effort to slow down. Sam Jenks has got in front now. Interestingly, Tucker's just put a rear bias on the car, which I wouldn't think would be a very good idea in these conditions.
Well, that's pretty pointless now because Fire Samuel wins the Canadian Grand Prix, and here comes Crekkan in 3rd place. A very bitter 3rd place for him, unless something happens to Sam Jenks. But gonna ride on board with Dan Hall for the rest of the race as Crekkan makes his feelings known as he leaves pretty much straight away. He's not going to attend the podium ceremony, obviously. But even still, Dan Hall having a lot of trouble. He's still having to fend off Jamie. Maybe the last lap. Well, these two are still battling.
The fight doesn't just end when the winner crosses the line, and Dan and Jamie still arguing over 9th place. Travis too far up the road to be troubled by these two, but into the hairpin they go. Dan keeps it. He's getting a bit of understeer, then a bit of oversteer. Ooh. Jamie's up by the side of him. I wish we had some onboards for Jamie because that would look quite cool as well. Now Travis crosses the line in 8th.
Yes, it would. Very disappointing race for him. Lotus, I think, will still be leading the championship, but just based on pure points consistency. But I think Dan Hall's secured 9th from Jamie.
Yeah, he actually took that chicane like it was supposed to be taken then. I thought Jamie might have come back to him, but so Fire Samuel wins the Canadian Grand Prix. Sam Jenks landed himself a 20-second penalty.
Yeah,
Sam Jenks landed himself a 20-second penalty.
That's what I was saying.
Inside of Fire Samuel, so that promotes Crekkan into 2nd. I'm sure he obviously left, so he doesn't know about that maybe. Actually promotes Mr. Tandy into 3rd, so his first podium of the season, his first pole, his first podium. An absolutely brilliant race for Mr. Tandy, really needed that. They've got Andy Cloyd in 4th place. Sam Jenks with his 20-second penalty in 5th. I'm not sure if he might drop down to 6th when Stewart finishes, but he's on his final lap.
I don't think so. I think 5th place is his final finishing position. I did say that the stewards were investigating and were going to apply the penalty if they could during the race, and they have. And
Suples Luke in 7th place, disappointing race for Travis in 8th. Dan Hall and Jamie Hall battling out for 9th, ended up with Dan Hall claiming that one. Tucker Harley finished outside the points from Godzino. Well done to you, Godzino, for making it to the end of the race because there's been a bit of a trend this season where people have a really crappy race, then just quit out, and you stuck it out into the end. Unfortunately, it's not got you any points, but well done for doing that. It's been a cracking race today. It's a bit of a lull during the end, but the beginning was very difficult to commentate on. Gino, I didn't know where to look.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a drink after this race. Well, the race has ended. I'm gonna have a drink now, actually.
Thank you very much for joining me today, Gino, and we'll see you all next week for the Silverstone Grand Prix.
See ya.